Good afternoon, everybody. It's Jim. It's Amadeus, and we are here, and we have plenty to talk about. Amadeus, you were Nostradamus a little earlier this. I guess it was about 2 weeks ago when we started talking about the NHL playoffs, and you had mentioned that whoever lost that Toronto and Boston series, the coach was likely to go, and you were right, my friend.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming for the Leafs. I mean, he's been there, 5 seasons? He's made it past the first round once. I mean, there's a good enough group of players on that team to have success. So something needed to change. So sure enough, today Sheldon Keefe out as the Leafs head coach. We'll see who's on their short list. I really haven't looked into it yet, but we'll keep tabs on that, who the next Leaf coach might be. And you know what? My statement still holds true for Boston. I don't know if Jim Montgomery is the guy. And, I mentioned it a few days ago too, how Florida has them right where they want them. This Boston team, when they play with a lead, they seem to get complacent. And sure enough, you go win game 1 on the road, you expel your demons from last season, then you get your ass whooped 6-1 in game 2. So this is what I mean. I wouldn't be shocked if Florida, especially if Florida wins the next 3 straight games and kicks them out 4-1. I wouldn't be shocked if Jim Montgomery is next to go too, because I don't think he's the guy in Boston. And frankly, I don't think that roster is good enough to go deep in the playoffs. They need a complete overhaul.
Well, you might be right on both counts whenever all said and done coming up here. We talked when she was drafted about, Caitlin Clark and what could she do to the WNBA. Well, tonight in Indianapolis, the Fever will make have a preseason game, and Caitlin Clark will make her home debut. And right as of 2:10 Eastern time on Thursday, the Fever has sold 17,000 tickets to a building that holds 17,500. So I'm guessing that by game time tonight, which would be about 8 p.m. Eastern time, those other 500 tickets will probably be gone as well. So not bad for a preseason WNBA game.
Yeah, 100%. Can I just say, 17,000 fans at any preseason game, whether it's men or women's, any sport is ridiculous. Right. They're already filling the building, selling it out before the season's even started. I mean, that's nothing but good signs for Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever this year.
It's funny because in some ways she's got the Messi effect, that we're talking about in the pre-show. We were talking about they open it against Atlanta, right? When they open against Atlanta, that game down in Atlanta, that game is going to be, they open the third deck. The Hawks don't open the third deck sometimes. So it's going to be an interesting situation as the Caitlin Clark caravan goes through the WNBA.
Yeah, it's going to be a drama-filled season, too, because it almost feels like it's Caitlin. WNBA player seems to want to tear her down before the season starts. And, I don't get it. You're getting a generational talent that's bringing eyeballs to the sport. This is what you want. I don't know why you're trying to tear her down before she gets in the league. But, I wish nothing but the best for her. And, we'll see how the season unfolds this year in the WNBA.
Yeah, it's you definitely don't want to if you've got the golden goose, if somebody shows up and that person is talented enough to bring eyeballs to your sport, you should be happy about it. It doesn't mean you don't want to beat that person. That doesn't mean you want them to win the title. It means that you acknowledge that, okay, Caitlin's, if people are tuning in to watch Caitlin, if people are coming to the arena to watch Caitlin, and you have a great game, against Caitlin, they're going to see you. So from a promotional standpoint, I don't see how this is a bad thing for anybody in the WNBA who's a player. Just shut up about, throwing shade on her. Go out and just, ball out on the night she plays. And guess what? People might like you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think you said it best right there, right? Just keep your mouth shut. Okay, don't tear her down before the season starts. Tear her down on the court. You think reality is going to hit her when she gets in the league, then show the fans. There's other great women in this league as well that are better than her. So, I don't understand. I know we do it in other sports, like with NFL quarterbacks and basketball players and stuff like that. But I think it's a little different there just because, the NFL is a, multi-billion-dollar business here. Quarterbacks are dime a dozen when they come at a thing. Like, it's very rare you get like a Patrick Mahomes or something. And even then, there's always people that want to tear him down. But this is different, I think, just because the WNBA is a league that it doesn't get a lot of eyeballs. And now it's, 17,000 fans at a preseason game. That's ridiculous. Like I said, in any sport, men or women. So a preseason game, 17,000 fans. Like I would be shocked if the Leafs brought it. They probably do. But if the Leafs brought in 17,000 for who wants to see them in the preseason, right? So it's great signs that the league is going to grow this year. This is a different scenario. This isn't like, reality is going to hit you. No, this is, as you said, you got a golden goose that's going to bring eyeballs and nothing but promotion for everybody in the league. Just, keep your mouth shut and show it on the court. Let's, tear her down there. If you want to go and tear her down on the court, that's completely fine. Because then, as you said, Jim, the fans are going to say, hey, this Atlanta team, they got some good players too. And then maybe they fill up the building more on a night Indiana's not in town, and it ripples throughout the league.
Well, the 17,000 people didn't drive from Indiana to come there. So, if you're in Atlanta and you see your team win and you see 2 or 3 outstanding players, you're going to want to go back and watch, the local team play again. So, look at what the Messi effect has done for the MLS. It's been good for the MLS. Yes, he sold out buildings, and yes, people wanted to go see him, but there are a lot more people who now understand, know, and watch the MLS than did before Messi was there.
Yeah, exactly. And furthering the point of other eyeballs, there's more people now that go, hey, that Julian Gressel is pretty nasty. I know everybody's talking about Messi and Suarez, but maybe this guy's got it too. So absolutely, let's just see how it goes. Let her play your game, and go show me on the court you're better than her.
There you go. Now across town, the Indiana Pacers, they got a beef, and they made some conversation. They lodged a complaint with the NBA, and you and I were talking about this prior to the show. I think they might have a little bit of a point here in their series of 2 games with the Knicks, having 78 calls against them in 2 games.
Yeah, it's been an interesting series. Look, we've talked about it a bit here. It's very obvious with the teams that are in the Western Conference right now. There's no West Coast market, no LA teams or California teams, right? You getting all these, Minnesota, Denver, Oklahoma City, these more central Western teams. And look, it's bad ratings for the NBA. And it doesn't surprise me that they're trying to help the Knicks out because they want the Knicks Celtics. That's how they're going to make money from these NBA playoffs. You have 2 of the biggest, Eastern franchises in the playoffs, number 1 and number 2 seed on top of that. They want that matchup, and hell, they probably want it to go 7 games too. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Knicks get by the Pacers and you see some shenanigans against the Celtics to help the Knicks out. So
it's going to be it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, but I think if you're the Pacers, you got a legitimate beef. Not every call has to go against you. But what's a mother to do? That's
And
what they got right now.
I know Rick Carlisle had a specific beef with it. He said it after the game, and his point was, small market teams deserve an equal shot, is basically what he said. And again, that's alluding to the fact that it's so obvious they want Knicks and Celtics. They want the two big, because it's the Eastern side. It's those two fan bases that are going to bring in the money that the West doesn't necessarily generate. I mean, there's a lot of young stars there, and a lot of people comparing Ant Edwards to Michael Jordan, but we're just not there yet. People don't know Minnesota's this great team that they've been building from last year. People don't know the Thunder. They think they just came out of nowhere. They've been building this team for 3 years. They're still the third youngest roster in the NBA. So definitely, the Knicks Celtics for the NBA. That's their NBA Finals this year for Adam Silver. So,
well, in the category of we were ahead of this game, Byron Scott, longtime Laker. Everybody knows Byron. Byron was a player on the Showtime version of the Lakers. Came out yesterday and said, it wouldn't be a bad idea to make LeBron the player coach of the Lakers. And maybe they should ponder that. So it's out there now. It's ruminating, and we're going to find out if it happens. But the opportunity of LeBron James as a player coach is something that Byron Scott says, you know what? We should take a look at that.
Well, you know what, Jim? I would love to see it. I really do want to see it, because I want to see when the Lakers miss the playoffs next year. What do they do then? Do they fire LeBron? Does LeBron fire himself? Like, what happens then when you realize you are the root of the problem?
I just wonder if he's going to yell at himself.
I say let's go for it.
It's like multiple personalities, right? It's like he's yelling at himself,
And
is he going to take himself out of the game?
If they're willing to do that, guarantee, lock it in. Bronny James getting drafted by the Lakers. If LeBron is going to be a player coach, I know you mentioned it's been done before, but
not often.
What
you
said it was Bill Russell who was the player coach. The guy played in the 50s. So
50s, yeah. The Russell thing was when Brett Auerbach decided to move to general manager, and Russ was in his final days of playing, right? He said to Russ, this is going to be your last year. You're going to be the coach. It was a fait accompli that Russ was going to succeed Auerbach as the head coach. And so I said, look, you're going to do it anyway, so you're not going to play. And that was the thing. Russ wasn't playing the minutes then. So it's like, okay, you're only in the game for maybe 10 minutes out of the entire game. So why don't you play and coach? And so Russ did that. So, but then again, that was back in the 60s, and the game was a totally different game then.
Completely.
And so,
I don't even think the 3-point line didn't even exist back then, right? So
no,
that came in the 70s, didn't it?
The 3-point line didn't come until they stole it from the ABA. So that
just like
was
the NFL does with the spring leagues these days.
Oh yeah, no, they stole that from the ABA. The Indiana Pacers we talked about, they were an ABA team. The San Antonio Spurs were an ABA team. The Nets were an ABA team. So they not only stole some teams, they stole some of the rules. So there was no 3-point shot in the NBA until they merged with the ABA, and so that was that situation. But there was talk about Larry Bird doing it in Indiana. It didn't work. I mean, they didn't do it. So from that standpoint, but no, this would be a generational thing, because as I said before, that was back when when he was on his the back nine of his career. It was one more year before he was going to retire, and he knew. I mean, he had made mention that he was going to retire, so it was just a transitional thing. And he was for all intents and purposes, he knew how to coach it anyway. And he had Red Auerbach was sitting 3 rows behind him, so I don't think that was a problem from that standpoint. So, but LeBron as the player coach, I would not be surprised at this point, because Byron Scott is not a name and a person who just throws something out there and no one listens to it. I mean, he has ties to the organization, so that might be something we see.
Yeah. Actually, I got a fun fact going back to the NBA stealing things.
Yeah.
I actually just made the connection today. I didn't even realize for the longest time, but the NBA, I figured out where they stole something else that they recently added to the game. And so I want you to and this is why I laugh. I laugh when I see this because they're so against promotion and relegation in the American soccer leagues. But it's no problem to go steal some rules from some soccer leagues. So I was handicapping the Mexican league, good old Liga MX. And for those of you who don't know out there, they're in their playoff right now. They just finished the regular season of the Clausura, which is the second half of the season, and now they're in the playoff system. And so basically the way the playoffs work, right? They have the seeding where it's 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, right? And then you get 2 legs. And it's interesting how they do it, because it's actually the higher seed advances on if it's tied. There's no penalties or extra time or things like that. But tell me if this sounds a little familiar to you, Jim. The way the Mexican League works, the playoff system, the top 6 teams in the league get the top 6 seeds. Then the teams that finish 7, 8, 9, and 10 get play-in spots. 7 and 8 play each other for the 7th seed in the Mexican League playoffs. The loser of that match plays the winner of the 9th, 10th seed in the winner of that game. And then so the winner of, the loser of 7, 8 and the winner of 9, 10 gets the 8th seed in the Mexican playoffs. Does that sound familiar to you?
Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it?
Yeah, just a little bit, right?
Well, there's no original ideas when it comes to the NBA.
So there you go. For anybody that doesn't know it out there, the NBA stole the play-in format for the playoffs from the Mexican Soccer League, Liga MX. So, promotion and relegation is a hell no.
No, that's not going to happen. There's another one, and that is that right now, the Bears, and this is something you could let us know, because this is something Caleb Williams, the whole thing from that standpoint is saying their ceiling is as high as he excels. Well, that's about as obvious a statement as you can make. It's like saying, well, if he wins games, then the Bears should be in good shape. So that's where we are with. Has Caleb Williams moved the all-important wagering needle on the Bears?
I don't think so, personally. I know some handicappers who, hated Justin Fields, thought it was the right move to get rid of him and thing. I know a ton that agreed with me on you wasted an opportunity to stock up with all the draft picks you had. You didn't need to waste a pick on a quarterback. So this is what I'll do right now is I'm going to check the win total for Chicago. And we'll see if we'll see how many games Vegas really thinks this team is going to win this year. So let's see, regular season wins. The Chicago Bears. are getting way too much respect, in my opinion. I don't even know. I don't even know how this is possible. Actually, I'm a bit stunned, Jim. Their win total. Do you want to take a guess on what the Chicago Bears win total is this year?
6.
8.5.
No way. No,
I'm not lying. Someone maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm staring odds courtesy of Bet365. The Chicago Bears over 8.5 is -150. It's juiced, so they actually think they're going to win 9 games this season. The Chicago Bears is a 9-win team according to Bet365.
All right. In their conference, they play the Lions twice. They play the Packers twice. They play, Minnesota twice. Suddenly, they're going to be better than. Now, I'll give them credit that they've improved on the defensive side of the ball. Okay. But not to the point where they're going to have to, if that's the case, they're going to have to at least split with some of the top 2 teams in the conference, in the division, which would be the Lions and the Packers. And there's no way that's going to happen.
And so I'm glad you bring that up, because we got the Bears at 8.5. We have the Lions, who, very good team, actually one of the best teams in the NFC. They're at 10.5 wins. And the aforementioned Packers there, who also went to the playoffs, at 9.5 wins. So according to Bet365,
1 win more than.
Okay, yeah. So, but that's not my point. My point is there's going to be 3 teams above 500 in the NFC North. Oh, and by the way, the Vikings with their new quarterback have a 6.5 win total. So they might not be trash apparently either. So something doesn't add up here. There's too many teams expected to have winning records in that division.
They're not the AFC North. Okay, it's not the AFC North, where they do usually have that. I don't. I'm a bit flummoxed there. 8.5, man. That's.
Yeah,
whoa.
I was shocked when I saw it myself. I was like, this can't be right. But
and
like I said, it's juiced. Yes, -150 to the over 8.5, which means really like another book probably has a 9, probably has the flat 9. Ridiculous, completely ridiculous.
I wouldn't. That's not
just free play for everybody listening. Take under 9 games for the Chicago Bears this season. There's your NFL regular season win total free play, courtesy of Jim and Amedeus. Under 9 for the Bears.
It's one of those things where
get
you
that
say,
9.
What do? You say this is your play for the month. Well, this is your NFL under for the year. Do this
total of the year right here on the wins total under 9. And like I said, it's -150 for the over 8.5 and +120 for the other. So there's 9s out there. You find a 9 and you take the under 9. Quick. Worst case, you push. Worst case, they'd have to go 500 for you to push.
Oh man. All right, that's crazy. Speaking of crazy,
and the Cardinals are 6.5. Just wanted to throw that out there. My Cardinals are 6.5.
Oh. Anyway, let's take a look at the Dennis Dodd put out as he put it, and he's right, the way too early CFP seedings for the 12 teams that would make it to the college, playoffs this year. He's got the Georgia Bulldogs at the top spot, followed by Ohio State. Surprise team, I'm not surprised they're in there. I'm surprised that Dennis has them at 3, is Utah. There you go. We like Utah, but he's got them at 3. He's got Clemson at 4, might be a little high. Oregon at 5, Texas at 6, Bama at 7, might be a high. Ole Miss at 8, Missouri at 9. Boy, thinking Missouri's going to have a good year. Notre Dame, of course, they have to be in there. So Notre Dame is contractually obligated to be put them in there. And Penn State at 11. and Boise State as the team that makes it in from the the non-power conferences. So interesting stuff from Dennis out there. As expected, most of that list is either an SEC team or a Big Ten team. Trying to see, Utah is now a Big 12 team. Notre Dame's an Indy, and Boise State. So only 3 out of 12 are not either SEC or Big Ten. So there you go. Early on. Way too early, Dennis.
I mean, it's not 2017 anymore. Like, newsflash, Clemson's over. Clemson is done. There's people that are still like hanging on hope from 5 years ago that, Dabo's going to turn things around. Clemson's over. They're done.
Yeah, stick a fork in them. I'm surprised. Texas could be even higher on that list if the players they have who have the talent to do it play through that. Texas could be really good. I just have no feel. And look, Alabama could be at the top of this list. I have no idea how Alabama and DeBoer how that's gonna work. It could be a home run, or it could be a total disaster.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, DeBoer went to the national championship last year, so he shows that he can do it. But I totally agree. Like, Alabama, I think when Saban left, all the good players, started jumping ship.
Bye, coach.
It's going to be tough to recreate that because a lot of them probably just, headed across the conference to Georgia over there.
I was going to say
Kirby Smart.
I mean, Alabama and Georgia are next to each other, so it's not a distance-wise, it's not a tough car ride. And Kirby Smart knows them all. So yeah, I think
I drafted you, or I recruited you 4 years ago. I'm glad to see you back.
Or you chose them over me. Now, really, that the choice you wanted to make? Yeah, Kirby Smart definitely. I just when an icon walks away from a program, normally, regardless of how good the coach is that comes in to replace him, it normally doesn't work, even at Alabama. So we'll have to see how that goes. As I say, they could end up being the top team in the country because they certainly have the talent to do it. But I don't know why, but Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin I just have this feeling that he's going to cause a little grief in that side of the bracket over in the West. I could be wrong there. Missouri has played really well recently, but I don't know. I think Dennis. I'm not sure what Dennis had for lunch when he put this together, but I'll have to ask him. It's Penn State keeps showing up, and you and I keep saying when. By the way, Michigan's not even in this list. Man, they got some tough games on their schedule. But yep, that's Dennis's list. Not necessarily sold on that, but what are you gonna do? We bring it to you as an informational purposes only. And we will have plenty more to bring to you because they don't play a football game for another 5 months or 4 months. So don't worry about it. But we thought it would be interesting. So we'll see how that goes out. So let's talk a little bit about yesterday's Champions League semifinal, which puts an Italian team in the final against a German team in London.
Not an Italian, Spanish team.
Oh, Spanish.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
which is
but
near Italy, but not. Yeah.
Yeah, but funny actually. Go back to the Italian teams is Fiorentina yesterday in the Conference League punched their ticket to the Conference League final, and Atalanta has a chance to punch their ticket to the Europa League final today. And if they do so, it's just I find that funny because Fiorentina lost the Conference League final last year, and it was Roma was the Italian team in the Europa League final. They lost, and Inter Milan was in the Champions League final against Man City, and they lost last year. So they're actually last year there was an Italian team in all three, the Champions League, Europa League, and the Conference League final, and all three Italian teams lost. And if you even want to, just you lump UEFA all together, the international team, Italy, in the UEFA Nations League, they won in the semifinals and then lost in the finals of the UEFA Nations League, I believe, to Spain. So they came. They played bridesmaid hard last year in about every competition they could for those Italian teams. So just a little fun fact. But yeah, going back to the Champions League yesterday, I mean, I did call it on the show. I said I was hoping Bayern would win because obviously, I had them to win the Champions League from the round of 16. But I did say, seeing Dortmund go through, didn't love the chances with Bayern. I just didn't think they were going to have two German teams in there again. And sure enough, we're getting Real Madrid, Dortmund. And, funny enough, the last time that the final was in London, I believe it was 12 or 14 years ago, something like 2012 or 2014. But the last time the Champions League final was in London, the final was Dortmund versus Bayern Munich. So we were almost, at that rematch. And hey, look, all credit to Real Madrid. They deserved to win that game. Bayern, they tried to catch them late with the goal there. And then that was the problem, though. They scored that goal and they packed up shop like Tuchel likes to do. And he just doesn't have the players there for his defensive system. Like he won the Champions League over at Chelsea. He had the players to suffocate you in every game and not let you score. Bayern didn't have that defense. They gave up 2 goals in every away match, their last 6 coming into that one. So they weren't going to keep Real Madrid off the board. How they did for 87 minutes was impressive enough as it was. But as soon as they scored the go-ahead goal, 10 minutes, they couldn't absorb the pressure. Real Madrid came after them and they scored 2 goals in 3 minutes. So it was a well-deserved win by Real Madrid. The one thing I will say, there were no real, shenanigans to get Real Madrid the lead. But once they had the lead, there was a few calls by the ref where, it was probably offside. There was also a goal scored by Bayern. And look, it was offside in my opinion. I haven't seen the lines, but looking just rough eye to eye, he was probably slightly offside by a shoulder for sure. That being said, you don't blow the whistle in that situation. Absolute atrocity by the referee. Guy's a complete dumbass for doing that. It's in the rules. You play if it looks close, you don't call the offside and especially blow the whistle. Maybe put the flag up, but you don't blow the whistle and blow it dead because let's say that Bayern player was onside. That's a 2-2 match if the ref doesn't blow the whistle. So look, well-deserved win by Real Madrid. There were some shenanigans with the ref. He did it. It wasn't just that one play. There was another instant. Bayern didn't score on it, but there was another instance where they blew the whistle early for an offside that was very tight. You're not supposed to do that. So I addressed the controversy, but Real Madrid belongs in the final. They won the game fair and square. And like I said, the Bayern player was probably offside. If that play continues, he's probably offside and the goal is disallowed. But I'm just saying, this is why we have so much complaints about the reffing and the VAR in football in Europe, because we don't want to see that. It says in the rules you play until the play is dead. If it's close, you don't blow a play dead for what could have been onside, and now you've taken a scoring chance away. So just, it's bad. I expect nothing less than bad reffing from UEFA. So it doesn't surprise me.
And there you go. You got it. It's last night, something happened that doesn't happen often. I did watch the Nationals and the Orioles play. The Nationals came into the inning down 3-1, tied the game, sent it into extra innings. The Orioles scored 2 runs in the 10th inning, the Nationals came back and tied it, 2 runs in the 10th inning. The Orioles scored 2 runs in the 11th inning. The Nationals score 1 run and have runners at second and third with 2 outs. And the guy hits the ball, got a little bit under it. He got his pitch, sent it to dead center field on the edge of the, on the track at the edge by the fence, reaches up, catches the ball. Game is over, 7-6 in a game that, it's not often you see teams. I mean, 1 run, okay, you got the ghost runner, right? But scoring 2 runs twice is crazy, and it was a fun game to watch. That one did not take the usual 2 hours and 19 minutes of the night before. That was closer to 3 hours, 11 minutes, but it was a fun game, so very entertaining. And what do we got going today with you right here on our picks that we've got down in the box below?
Yeah, make sure you check out my premium picks at bigal.com, pickadvisor.com, and theinsidersroom.com. The links are in the description below. I'm coming off a 9-3-1 day, including 7-3-1 on the pitch, 2-0 in baseball, and I went a perfect 7-0 with sides. Just like money line or spread sides in all my games yesterday. So definitely coming off a hot day. Make sure you check out my picks today. I got my Europa League game of the year. Starts at 3:00 in 15 minutes. So go get that. I also have a play on the Conference League if you want to check that out. And I have a ton of soccer, for tonight as well. If you need that late night action on the pitch, I got a ton of Copa Libertadores and Copa Sudamericana. Coming off a good night last night with that. And I have some plays in Liga MX playoffs. I went 2-0 last night, so make sure you check those out.
All right, everybody. Hope that you get the opportunity to check that the links below, and be sure to check them. Not just when we're on, but whenever you get an opportunity. It's well worth going back and checking them out. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. We will be back tomorrow, and there's all kinds of crazy going on over the weekend. There'll be baseball, there'll be hockey, there'll be basketball. We'll probably get to see that the entire state of Indiana has gone to see Caitlin Clark play somewhere at some time. Maybe they'll start playing in the out at Bloomington in the University of Indiana's football stadium, because they can't fill that for a game. So maybe they can fill it for a basketball game. And we'll see how that plays out. Should be fun. Until then, for Amedeus, I'm Jim. We'll see you tomorrow, guys.